has really never accepted the breakup of the Soviet Union. He's called it the world's 20th century's greatest geopolitical catastrophe because 25 million Russians were left outside of the Russian Federation when the Soviet Union collapsed. He has also on numerous occasions said that Ukrainians are not a separate nation. He does not believe that Ukrainians are different from Russians, and he has always been focusing on how to exert influence over Ukraine and actually how to reabsorb Ukraine into Russia. This isn't something new. These are grievances that he has nurtured for a very long time. And now we see them playing out there. He's also been determined since he became president 22 years ago to restore a sphere of influence in the post-Soviet space, to relitigate the results of the end of the Cold War, the geographic settlement. And again, Ukraine has always been the main focus for Putin there. The NATO issue, which he talks a lot about, is the excuse for what he's doing. But the longer term goal has always been to reabsorb Ukraine, even if it had remained, and as it is now, a neutral country. There were three major miscalculations I think Putin made in launching this war, and we see them playing out now. The first, and you've heard all about it already, is the resistance of the Ukrainian people. He thought this was going to be a blitzkrieg that was going to be over in 3 days, that Kyiv would surrender and Ukrainians would welcome the Russians with open arms. The resistance has been amazing when you look at what the Ukrainians are doing, because they're fighting for something they believe in. And the Russians who are fighting there, particularly the young conscripts, they don't really know why they're there. They're not fighting for a cause. And this is what they're meeting with the very fierce Ukrainian resistance. The second miscalculation he made was about the West and its resilience and its determination to resist this. Putin looked at the West. This is one of the reasons he invaded when he did. And he saw a weak United States. He looked at the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. He saw an administration that couldn't get its legislative agenda through. He looked at a Europe that was distracted by many things, and he thought that the West couldn't respond effectively. Well, he was wrong. And of course, you've had this renewal, if you like, of the transatlantic alliance, also our Asian allies who supported the US and NATO in all of the sanctions. And so the third thing was he did not believe that there would be unity on the kind of tough sanctions that we've seen imposed. So these were all miscalculations. The blame game is already happening in Russia. But so far, Putin is digging his heels in. So the question is, how serious are the Russians about negotiating? Obviously, President Zelensky has put a number of things on the table, including Ukraine's future neutrality, not seeking to join NATO, and saying that he's willing to discuss the future of Crimea and the Donbas region with Russia. This will take a long time. And the Ukrainians have been negotiating in good faith. Just yesterday, we had a session, of course, in Istanbul, and the Russians said, we're actually not focusing on Kyiv anymore. We're going to focus on the Donbas region. And yet overnight, Kyiv has still been bombed. So when you try and understand how possible it is to come to a peaceful solution here, you have to look at what the Russians do, not what they say, because they're saying some of the right things now, and hopefully they will continue to do so. But we still haven't seen even a ceasefire be agreed to, even for 24 or 48 hours. It's been impossible to do that, to provide a humanitarian corridor, because the Russians have bombed civilians when they've been trying to come out. So I hope that it's possible to come to a peaceful solution here. But I fear, as do many of my colleagues, that this could go on for a very long time, and you could have a pause and then it could start again. Because I think as long as Vladimir Putin is in the Kremlin, he is still going to be determined to subordinate Ukraine. And this is what we see playing out.